Hello, Stream Queens Con 3. Are you ready for our final discussion panel of the event? I know I am. We are here today to talk all about The Legend of Zelda because we're all Zelda nerds, and I can't wait. For those who don't know me or who haven't gotten sick of seeing me all day on and off, I'm Kara Couture. I'm a gender fluid fashion illustrator, drag content creator, the queen of draws play, and I have been a Zelda fan basically since as long as I've been gaming. Ocarina of Time was one of the first games I was really ever introduced to when I was like 3 or 4, watching my dad play it. So I'm going to introduce all of our other panelists as well, give them some space to talk about themselves, what they do on Twitch, on their channels, all that jazz, and also how long they've been a Zelda fan. So, Kiyoshi, take us away.
Hi, I'm sure y'all are also sick of me. My name is Kiyoshi, your pansexual drag investigator, drag king of first person to perform at TwitchCon Drag Showcase uh, as drag king. And yeah, I go by he, they pronouns. I'm not sure if that's what you asked, but I'm going to say it anyways. And when did I started getting into Zelda? Is that what you asked?
Yeah, how long you've been a Zelda fan?
I basically, when I had it, on the Nintendo 64 Ocarina of Time, which I believe was, like, 1999 or
Yeah,
something, somewhere around there. So, did it come out then? I don't know. No one fact check it.
yeah, 98.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, I
Work.
won't fact check.
Okay, thank you.
Kay, we'll take it over to you.
Well, hi. My name is Kay. I go by Kay Lucky Dog on Twitch. You probably see me in a million streams. And my pronouns are they, she. I stream when I can. I mod everywhere. I've been a Zelda fan since I was probably like 2 years old. I remember watching my dad play it on Super Nintendo. And then when I was like 5 in like 1998, I got the Zelda Ocarina of Time and the N64 for the first time, and so yeah, been a fan ever since, and I'm very excited to be here with this lovely panel. And I
Yes.
showed up in drag today, so thank you.
Oh,
We love to
stunning.
see it. All right, Nemesis, your turn.
Hi, I'm Nemesis Network. I have been a Zelda fan. Um, I would say when Skyward Sword came out. I know that's like, don't like yell at me or anything. It's kind of like a new gen like kind of game, but I remember playing it when I was in high school. Like, just I don't know. Like one of my friends came over and they're like, "Have you ever played Zelda?" And I was like, "No, what is that?" And I was like, "I only know him from Smash Bros. Like, what is his game? Like, what is he from? Like." When like somebody gets into Zelda and they're like, "Oh, the main character, that Link guy, he's Zelda." Like they always
Yeah.
mess up
Yeah.
the names back and forth. That was me, like literally
Yeah.
in high school. So that's how long I've been a fan. So that's like kind of new, but I've definitely been obsessed ever since. All of my alerts on my channel, twitch.tv/Nemesis Network, are all Zelda alerts. Even when we play Zelda games, it gets so confusing because you'll hear an
Hmm.
alert from the video game and you're like, "What? What's going on?"
Yeah, when somebody
But yeah,
subscribes to me and I get confused because I'm like, I'm not playing Ocarina of Time. Why is that Great Fairy making noise? Like,
right. That's
I
the
have
great noise. So
I
I'll
have
get
the
like rated and I'm like, ah.
I have the Breath of the Wild, like, Sheikah Slay as a ringtone for the longest time, and when I played Breath of the Wild, coming back and playing it again, I was like I instinctively checked my phone, I was like, "I fucked up."
all right, and Lady Mega Danger.
Hi everyone, I am Lady Mega Ninja. I do bad games, I do retro games and the like, and I've been a Zelda fan since Ocarina of Time came out and I was a kid. I've played every game basically since it's come out, and yeah, y'all, I love Zelda. It's a great game. Great. Oh yeah, it's great.
All right, so that also kind of like takes the next question off the board of what our first Zelda games were. But so what about our first time with Zelda? Any of the games made it memorable or special for you? I think we're just gonna go in the same order. So Kiyoshi, how
Ooh,
about
yeah.
you?
I would say, the first Zelda that we I don't even know what happened. We ended up getting a Nintendo 64 as a family. We did have an NES and, like, we played, like, not Smash Brothers, interesting. Uh, we played, Mario, and then, I don't think we had Zelda, I think we had a different game, but then we, like, quickly escalated 76 N64. We played Yeah, and Ocarina of Time was just like definitely the most memorable and special game because like um it is like me and my siblings would play, but not only that, like my mom would get into it, my dad would get into it, and we would all just sit down on the couch and just like I was just watching. So essentially, my parents were streamers,
Please.
and I was their
Yeah.
workers. And I mean, I don't think I helped solve any problems, but it was really cool just like seeing them like go through it and whatnot, and then like saying, "Oh, what about that? Can you hit that pot and whatever?" And then so little kid things.
Mhm.
And yeah, that was definitely the most memorable because like especially there was one night, one time on the weekend, and it was really cool to uh hang out with my parents like super late at night, and they would allow us to like stay up with them, and we just like
Yeah.
played Zelda
Cool.
all night, which was
Oh, that's so
really
cute.
fun.
All right, Kay, how about you? What was so special about your first Zelda experiences?
Well, I had Ocarina of Time when I was like 5, right? And so I somehow was able to like play through all of that, and it was great. And yeah, my dad and I would like take turns like playing it too, or he would have his own save file. But probably like the one that I remember the most, like, and had like the most memories for was like Majora's Mask. I got it for Easter, which sounds crazy. My family's like totally not religious, but for some reason we got like Easter gifts and stuff, and they put it like in this big old like Easter egg thing outside, and I was like, oh my god, Majora's Mask. So so I just like played it for like days, and I don't know, I just loved that game so much because of all the side quests and getting the mask. So I think that was probably the most special to me, and it was kind of like one of like the first games I was really like doing on my own. Um, and yeah, I honestly don't know how I beat that game as a kid. It's pretty crazy. Because
Yeah.
even now I
Yeah,
struggle with it. But yeah, that was definitely probably my fondest memory was just like doing all the little side quests for everyone. And yeah,
It's like the perfect game to get for Easter too, because on the third day Jesus rose, and on the third day the
yeah, and
moon
then the
crashed
moon, yeah,
down.
yeah,
So
they're
it works.
yeah. So they were like, here you go, happy Easter. The moon's gonna crash.
Yeah,
But yeah,
how about you, Nem?
um, well, so I actually have interesting experiences with a bunch of Zelda games. I would say Skyward Sword is most notable. There was something about the nostalgia, like nowadays playing Skyward Sword opposed to like back then, about something about the Wii U gamepad. I don't know why. I love like I just it's not like ideal for anybody, but I loved playing it on the Wii U. I even played it on the Wii U when it got ported to the Wii U, so like that was something else. But some like while I was in high school, I would use the Zelda games as like kind of an escapism because I just loved like the ambience, the immersion that they use. Like
Mhm.
I love the atmosphere and how different the games are. Like I would play Skyward Sword and then love all the color, and then sometimes it would get a little darker and like scarier. But then you play Wind Waker, and like Wind Waker, the music is so and the art style is so different, and I just love that. But I also got to experience Ocarina of Time. I've never played it before, and I experienced it this year. Kay was in my chat when I played it. I
yeah,
was like, this is the best. Like
hmm,
I was gagged. Like I was like, not
Yeah.
that old school game with the polygons, but I love old
right,
school games like that. So I got to thankfully experience that for the first time ever on Twitch, which was really fun. But
yeah.
yeah, all of them are so charming.
Yeah. All right. LMD, your turn.
Yeah, gosh, my first Zelda game was Ocarina of Time. I played it at my cousin's house, and I begged my parents to get it, and they were like, "Sure." And we got it, and it was gosh, all the games I had played up until that point was like Mario 64 and Banjo and Pokemon and really colorful, fun Nintendo stuff. And Zelda was this really dark, like if it was like a dark fantasy game, right? And my dad
Mhm.
used to read me like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and it felt like, oh, I'm this elf kid, and I have a fairy, and I have a sword, and I can do this thing, and I'm going on an adventure. And it was like I'd never like played a game like that before, and it just hooked me from the moment it started. And then
Mhm.
I didn't know how to play it for the longest time, and it became that game that I kept coming back to every few years. And I get a little further in it, and then I didn't know. Then I get a little further, and then it became like a fountain of youth of sorts. And it was so special because it's like you keep coming back to it. And even now, I've played it on stream like twice, and I think like you always capture that moment every time you play it. Like every time like you revisit it, you're back to like when you first played it. So for me,
Oh
it's
yeah.
yeah, it's for me like being a kid in the basement, figuring it out, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I say all the time the Ocarina of Time was like my introduction to drag. Because story time. Big surprise with me. But when I was little, the first game I ever played was Mario Kart 64, and I only would play as Peach. I refused to play as anybody else. And my parents were like, okay, we kind of want to push that away a little bit and like try to get our assigned male at birth child to play male things, and so my dad showed me Ocarina of Time, and it was presented to me under the context of like, look at Link and look at all his cool weapons and how tough he is, and he's fighting the bad guys and killing the monsters. Isn't that cool? And I was like, he has earrings, and I was more
Right.
excited about that than anything. But I wouldn't like get off of the fact he had earrings and that I liked that part of it a lot. And so my dad was like, "Oh, well, there's fairies in this game. I know you like fairies. So let me go show you the fairies." So he took me to the Great Fairy Fountain. And that was when like the switch got flipped for me. Like, and seeing her come out of the fountain and the laugh and the fountain ambience, like there's a reason it's my like close-up screen when I start streams and like my just chatting stuff, is the fountain from it, the specifically Ocarina of Time. But I just remember asking my dad, like, "Can I play as her? Like, I want to be her. I don't want to be this little guy with the sword. I just want to be this giant fairy lady with the huge makeup."
Not little
Um,
guy.
yeah, this
Oh.
little
Please.
guy. But I remember he used to try to get me to play it, and I was scared of everything. So I didn't complete Ocarina of Time until I was like 12 or 13 because I was too scared to play it. Um, but I had no problem playing Twilight Princess, and that game was much scarier in terms of
Yeah.
visuals. But yeah, I just remember like seeing all of these characters. And for me, I think the reason why I liked Ocarina of Time so much is that so many of the prominent characters are women. Of the seven sages, five of them are women and have very
Mhm.
prominent roles in the story. So seeing like that these are the people who are protecting the world and saving the day coming together, were all like women in leadership positions, or just women in general who had really cool designs. That was like a big thing for me. So I used to draw them obsessively as a kid. So that was my big thing with it. So obviously, like, we all love the characters and all of that too. And I know Nem touched on the atmosphere being big parts of Zelda, that we all really like. But what are some of your other favorite things with Zelda, Kiyoshi?
I would say, I think the biggest thing for sure is the music.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And obviously integrate with like Ocarina of Time and like Majora's Mask. And I have, and unfortunately, that I will disclaim, I am a big fan of Zelda. I do need to get in touch with everything else, and I want to. The only things I've played is Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and Breath of the Wild. Everything else, I unfortunately haven't touched, but I really want to.
Yes.
Um, and the music, at least for those, obviously besides Breath of the Wild, there wasn't really too much of that. Um, it's like part of the gameplay, and you
Mhm.
have to learn like how to play these certain melodies and whatnot.
Mhm.
And even then, like just the I don't know, the music behind uh like any of the areas you go into, or just like were just like really great and atmospheric. And I think that's definitely the my favorite part for sure with like with Zelda, the Zelda series for sure for those.
All right, thank you. How about you, Kay?
So probably my like favorite two Zelda games are like Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess. So I really like the darker games. I'm also obsessed with the music. Like for example, in Majora's Mask, it's the 3 day time limit. So you have 3 days in the game to finish it, and each day like the music first starts out like really happy and everything's great and fine, and by the third day it's like very it makes you anxious, and it's like so fast tempo, and you're like, I gotta do this, I gotta finish it. um, but I think probably like my favorite thing, besides the music, of course, is like I really loved all the side quests because for Majora's Mask specifically, it was like very like it was really actually deeper than you thought it would be. Like they like kind of know the world is ending, and they're kind of like, oh, or this rumor is coming around that the moon's gonna fall, and so they're trying to finish everything that they want to do in life and have like no regrets at the end. Or there's even like a couple that's trying to get married on time, and that one is like a you have to do
Mhm.
like 20
Oh, yeah.
steps, yeah, to get the
Yeah.
couple's mask. And I messed that quest up so many times, and it like you had to just do everything by the dot, and if you didn't, you had to start all over. And I redid it probably like so many times until I finally got it, and I was like, yes. But yeah, probably just like the side quests, the music, just the overall like vibe and aesthetic of Zelda was always so fun. And then with Twilight Princess, like I thought being like a wolf in it was like the coolest thing ever. I was like, yo, this is sick. Like, and you had the best like partner character in my opinion, which was like Midna. Like Vi's very cool too from
Absolutely.
Skyward Sword, but I love Midna so much. Like she like she like none of the characters really back then had like voice lines until like Breath of the Wild, but Midna's character is so like expressive that you like really felt everything that she felt, and I thought it was really cool. So yeah.
All right, love that. Nem, how about you?
I can't just pick one. I don't know what to pick.
No.
Like I feel like everybody said like our piece. Like I can't really think of anything really unique in this instance because like the music is so good. The characters are so like I touching on the companion characters, like I love that in every Zelda game there's a companion character, like
Hmm.
almost every single one, pretty much, like the mainline ones. Like there's Fee, there's Navi, there's Midna, where are the other ones? Fill me
The
in. What are the other
the
ones?
King
Like
of Red Lions from
Tattletale.
Wind Waker, yeah,
Yes, Red
Tattletale,
Lions.
as
Yeah.
well as the
Um,
Minish Cap.
mhm.
Oh, I played that one. Okay.
Yeah. So they're all really cute. And then I don't know. I think the character designs in Zelda games are just top tier. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
we're gonna go there, I would say the Koroks are probably the cutest things ever. And
I
like I
love
love them
them.
so bad.
Yeah,
Like
the little jingly babies.
They're
I have
so
a
cute.
plushie of them in the other room and it like has a little jingle in it. Like it's so
Cute.
cute.
Oh,
I love them. Makar in Wind Waker is probably one of my top 10 favorite
same,
characters.
Yeah.
same.
And then Hestu in the new Breath of the Wild
Yeah.
with his little maracas. So cute.
Mhm.
Yeah, so cute.
But yeah, I think like the character designs are pretty top tier. Like I think if you say a Zelda character for the most part, like one of the main characters, somebody can pretty much like define who that is and like can recognize them. So I think that's a pretty good thing of character design is when you can mention someone or even a silhouette. I know like when curating a character, someone should be able to recognize like
Yeah.
in the silhouette. And I think we can all do that with a lot of the characters. I also like in all of the games, like the evolution of Link and Zelda and how they change like throughout the series. Like I like Link in one game, he's like a cute little twink, but in the other one, he's like a like rough and tough, like buff guy. And then in the other one, he's like a cartoon character. And then Zelda's dresses get fierce, like fiercer and fiercer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then she doesn't even wear a dress. She wears the cute little pants and the little tunic in the new one. So
Yeah, and her like winter coat. She has
yes,
that.
she cut her hair from what we
Yeah.
saw. Like it's fierce.
Oh, love it. Okay, how about you, LMD?
So yeah, everybody had really good answers, and I have to like borrow and say that
I feel like music is kind of I kind of fucked up with
Yeah.
music because I think we all like that, to be
Yeah,
honest.
totally.
How dare you take that from us? No, I'm
I
sorry.
know. Oh, I mean, I mean, all of us outside of Kay were on the music panel last year, so like that's and we all talked about Zelda music during that. So, I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah, so I think like yeah, I definitely do want to say the Zelda music's great. I think it's awesome to like they're all unique, but they're all kind of the same. A lot they share a lot of melodies, but they're all very different. I think the visual design is amazing, right? Not just like the character designs, but the fact that like they have elves, but they're not elves, they're Hylians, right? But they have like rock people and they have like fish people, and it's
Right.
like it's weird, and it's like
Yeah.
it's so Zelda and so Nintendo. But if I can be profound and esoteric for a moment, I love how like approachable Zelda is, and I think a
Mhm.
lot of people miscategorize it as an RPG, which it's not. But I think because a lot of people call it an RPG is because you get so attached to Link and the adventures you go on and what happens, and you have like a really cartoony game like Wind Waker, which is pretty dark and it's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense, like that bird kidnapping your sister, and it's like, what is happening?
Like,
It's
that's
so
dramatic, yeah.
scary. Twilight Princess is really dark and scary. Breath of the Wild, like they all have some pretty intense moments, but I think that for every level of your experience with gaming, there's a Zelda game for you. So I
Yeah.
have to say it's approachability. If I can be like profound and like weird about it, I love how well designed and approachable they are.
Yeah, I mean, kind of piggybacking off of that, I think that's really what I like about it too, is that it's a franchise that you can come in at any age, having no
Right.
experience with it, and have one hell of a time with it. And at the same time, it kind of reminds me of like animated things you watched as a kid, or like just movies you watched as a kid in general, like most animated things. Like there's stuff in there for the adults. There's mature themes in there that you don't get until you go back and you watch it as an adult. And I think that's the fun thing for me, at least as like basically a lifelong Zelda player, is that I can go back to these games I played as a kid and I can find this hidden context and this extra meaning in a character's individual story or the world lore and the world building, and things I didn't notice until I was an adult. And like even as like you experience life more, that changes other things that you pick up on, which I'll talk more about later. Um, but yeah, I kind of, yeah, that's a really good answer. I think
I
for
oh,
me, I think in general, my like top favorite thing out of Zelda is is the um is the in-game lore and like the
Yeah.
in-universe lore, because it is specific enough that you get like a really well fleshed out concept, but it's also vague enough that you can kind of put other things together out of it and like string together theories and find extra things to analyze out of it, which is somebody who like I love deep dive analysis into Zelda.
Yeah.
Like one of my favorite things on YouTube, and he's so underrated. He doesn't do stuff anymore, and I'm so sad about it. There's a creator on YouTube called Realm W, who he did this like series of deep dive analyses into the in-universe politics of Zelda and like the
Oh,
political
wow.
structures and like how the people in power like don't know how to handle it properly or
That's
how they handle
awesome.
crises, and it's so cool. And again, I will talk more about that later too. Um, but yeah, so I think we can move on to our next question, which I mean kind of goes along with that, but like some of our favorite things that have come out of the series, whether that's, fan theories or other side content or the things that we've made out of it ourselves, whatever that may be. If anyone wants to take this.
Uh, well, I guess I get like theming. I think that might kind of go back with like favorite things. Um like the Majora's Mask, like there was something interesting about that game in the sense that like during that time when it came out, it was like mostly like Mario Party where I hated my siblings and my cousins. And again, Banjo-Kazooie and whatnot, it was all very charming and whatnot. Something very dark and eerie, and there was something I attached to that so much, and it was just so interesting because it was just so out there and so different for me as a kid. I think just theming, I guess, in general for that game and how dark it was, and I think because, like, at the time that was nowhere near in my vicinity and view. I think, like, theming for that and, like, the stories and whatnot that were in there, similar to what, like, Kay was mentioning, like, when Kay mentioned the wedding, I was like,
Oh my god.
"I remember that, I forgot, I repressed it, and it's probably because trauma." So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think, but it was still, like, really good because it's, like, it's their trauma, it's, like, what they're going through and whatnot, so,
Mhm.
like, I would say, like, theming and, like, stories, like, probably one of the things I definitely loved about, like, Zelda for sure. I don't know if that's, like, what you asked,
Yeah, I mean, it
but
covers it, but also, like, things that aren't necessarily the games themselves that are, like, attached to it kind of adjacently,
Mhm.
so, like, speed runs,
Oh,
randomizers, like,
Oh,
yeah.
stuff
yeah,
like
those are
that.
fun.
Like, has anybody had experience with those?
Oh, yeah. I speed run. I try to speed run, like, Breath of the Wild, and I did watch it, and I always find it so interesting because they speedrunners definitely like they know what to do and they were like
Speedrunning is
very
crazy. Yeah.
efficient in it. Yeah. Um, I tried my hand in it. It's really tough. I got close, but not near like wherever I need to want to be. It's really cool. Speedrunning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like a lot of the theories that came out are pretty cool, or even like the games themselves will leave like subtle hints of like some stuff might be connected. Like, that Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are connected because it's a sequel game technically. But even Twilight Princess was meant to be kind of like it's almost like an Ocarina of Time remake, but not. It's just
Mhm.
kind of like the darker themes in it. It's just like a recreation, and it's so cool. And they make that subtle connection kind of by like you interact with this ghost to like guard guy, right? And he's like a knight and he's undead and he teaches you things. And actually, I think they did like officially confirm, but they hinted at it that he was the hero of time. So um he was Link from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. So
Yeah.
that's who's teaching you. And I thought that was like so cool. And I found that out. I was like, no way. And yeah, just connections like that is really cool because then it kind of just like deepens it. I'm like, oh wow, like my favorite games, like, oh look, he's here too. And then you kind of like you don't even know, people like speculate like, well, what happened to him? Like how did he die? Why is he in armor? Like did he die in
Mhm.
battle or like but yeah, it's really cool seeing the connections like that and the different timelines and yeah, and but you can still play whatever game pretty much with the Zelda game and like it's its own thing. So you don't have to be like, oh my god, I didn't play like the first 8, so I'm screwed. But no, you can pick it up whenever. So
Yeah. Did anyone else have anything they wanted to add for this bit?
I
I
did.
know yes. I know
I
this is
wanted
like
to
the kind of the weird question of the group.
That's okay. I just wanted to say, like, I love Zelda's mystery, right? If I can just be blunt, I love that, like, up until now, we haven't gotten like, I mean, we've got Zelda 2, but we haven't gotten like a direct sequel. So a game comes out and you want to know more about like, well, what happened with that guy? What happened with, and you never find out. And
yeah.
they have like vague things that they allude to it, like, oh, that looks like that lady from the thing. She has the chickens and the, but it's not the same. And you're never gonna find out what happened to it. And I think that inspires a lot of fiction and a lot of like fan fiction and a lot of
Mhm.
like fan films, and a lot of imagination. And I think it's really beautiful and very cool. And I mean, up until now, we've never been able to get a continuation of that kind of stuff. So the mystery of it's very, very wonderful and very fun. I think I love the mystery of Zelda.
Yeah. Yeah, same. I think that that's kind of the beauty of the franchise because, like with Final Fantasy, like every adventure is its own story, but there are like little things that are consistent across all of them in some way. I think Zelda kind of does that, but for me, Zelda does it in a little more of an interesting way because all of the stories are self-contained, but there's enough like open plot lines and like things that couldn't be drawn together to other things that like you sit there being like, okay, this is the thing from Skyward Sword, and this is from Wind Waker, and this is from that game, and this is how it's all connected. Like all the debate around Breath of the Wild when it came out of like where it falls in the timeline before Nintendo said anything about it, because there's stuff from like everything in there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I really thought was really cool. And it's like these nice little subtle, even if it's just like, oh, this thing is named after this person.
Yeah.
And so like well, that would indicate it's in this part of the timeline. I think it is always really it's always really fun to see. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think going into more specific things that are among our favorites. What are our like favorite characters and dungeons? Because those are such defining things of the series, whether it's just a random NPC or our favorite temple or anything like that. Kiyoshi.
I think like I want to say Link, but realistically, I think it's Sheik, really. Sheik was like so iconic and like I definitely didn't know. I was a silly kid. I didn't really put two and two together. And I don't know. I saw Sheik. First of all, I saw Link, adult Link, and was like, "Oh, gay awakening. This is it.
Right.
I'm here." And then I saw Sheik, and I was like, "Wait, they're hot too." And like, I don't know. I think Sheik is really cool because like they're just like I mean, I don't know if it's like canon or anything, but like non-binary icon or like a androgynous icon. Like I like that. Like I didn't know who they were, but they were badass and hot. And I don't know. I think like Cheek was probably one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, Kay, how about you?
Yeah, that's funny. I just played through that recently where it's like you turn into like adult Link on like my stream
Mhm.
and then Sheik is there and I was just like, "Oh my God, like this is so cool." And I don't know, when I was a kid, like I feel like he was saying like, oh, like, like Zelda and stuff like that, or everyone was kind of like, oh, they wanted to be like, the Great Fairy or like, Zelda and things like that. But I was like, I thought it was so cool being Link. I was like, oh, this is dope. And then I definitely loved Sheik. They were really cool and they're just kind of like mysterious and they would just show up after each thing and it was kind of like you had this deep bond, but you didn't really know why. Um, Also, obviously, Minda, because she's just incredible, like such a very deep character, and her story is very deep and sad and really cool. And you kind of are really motivated in that game, I think. Also, the Skull Kid, I really liked him a lot because he like, in Majora's Mask he got the mask and became evil. And before that, he was actually one of Link's friends that like, they would hang out sometimes and have little, tidbits here and there. But he turned evil, and I just thought it was really crazy how his story panned out. And if we had like favorite dungeons and stuff, I think probably like the one that I remember the most or that I really liked was the stone temple from Majora's Mask
Oh,
because it is like so crazy cool and so eerie. Um, because it would like the temple would like suddenly go upside down and you'd have to like move different pieces. And then also
Mhm.
you would have to create statues of yourself as Link and then like as a Goron and like as a Zora and um you have like an empty like weird statue that kind of looked like you but not really and you have to like leave them places and it was just very eerie and like I don't know, I thought it was really cool.
the music in the Stone Temple is really cool
Yeah,
too.
it's
Yeah.
like so good. Yeah, it's like one of
Do,
my
do, do,
favorites.
do, do, do,
Yeah,
do.
it's I don't know, there's just so much with Zelda, but yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Nem?
I have a list.
Team is
For
ready.
different reasons. Okay, so this is gonna be controversial yet brave. I love Tingle. I think he's so silly and funny. I love his character design. I love it especially in Wind Waker. He's such a silly little guy. One of my favorite characters of all time. I will say this is also a controversial yet brave opinion from Hyrule Warriors, Sia and Lana.
Oh,
Those
same.
character
Love them.
designs are like Sia has big titties. She has nice ass hair. Like she is
Mhm.
so hot. Like I love her. Like I want her in a mainline game. I don't know. Could they put her in the new Zelda game first? I don't know how, but
I
I,
hope
I would
so.
love it. So those are some of my favorite characters. I love Fee from Skyward Sword. I think she's one of the best companions, and her story
Mhm.
is. But like I replayed the HD version and I cried at the end because I never finished Skyward Sword before that moment.
Yeah.
And the end of that game made me bawl. I was like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That game has Zelda and Link's relationship in that game is so well done.
it's so sad. And I also love Girahim. Girahim is one of the best, I think,
Yeah.
villain character designs. Also androgynous. Also like so like I don't even know how to say it, like provocative for a Zelda game. Like the way he
Yeah.
would like flirt
Yeah.
with Zelda. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
not Zelda, Link. Sorry, I did the thing back in school, but the way he would do that was so good. Like I don't
Yeah,
Yeah, it
like
was
know.
like
like a
sensual. We were
tongue
like, huh?
thing.
Yes, the tongue thing.
Oh my
It
God,
was
the
so
tug
good.
thing. I can't with that. Yeah.
I would replay that. That's like one of my favorite. I think in terms of dungeons, I don't think I have a dungeon because I kind of would get annoyed and frustrated with them because I'm stupid and can't do puzzles. But I like the music in them. But if anything, I'll say Girahim's fight is like any of his fights are probably some of my favorite things to do, even with motion controls.
Mhm.
And then I think traversing the world in Wind Waker, like just going to the
Oh
islands,
yeah.
like sailing the seas, like finding little secrets. Like I like doing that. Like it's such a little like niche thing in Wind Waker, but I loved like just doing the things on the islands, like even getting the red sail for like to go faster. Like that's like
Mhm.
one of my favorite things.
Right. How about you, Lady Make a Danger?
So my favorite character is probably Ganondorf. He's so
Yes.
he's so cool and he's kind of hot.
I was gonna say hot.
Yeah.
I love I just want to complain really quickly because the design they always have of him is from like the past in Ocarina of Time where he has like that little crop cape and his short hair. But in the future, he has the long cape that's like ripped and he has the mane and like
Yeah.
mutton chops and he's anyway, I really like him because he has like I don't know, he's not Ganon, right? He's not Ganon. They're
Mhm.
two different entities. So it's like
Mhm.
he was a Gerudo man, and like Gerudo, like they never have men. Like he's like born every 1,000 years. So my head canon is that he was like tempted and he became like the dark sorcerer, right? And it's just there's so much mystery there, and
Oh,
he's
yeah.
so cool and like like I don't know, like something about it. And I like bad boys, right? I don't know what it is.
There's a really cool thing with Ganondorf, I think in specific with Ocarina of Time, is that when you first meet him, well, like when you're a kid, you see him through the window, his ears are rounded like Gerudo ears are. And then when you fight him as adult Link, his ears are pointed. And so it's like a symbol that like once he got the Triforce of Power and he got all of that and the things he wanted, it's like he takes on the dark power of Ganon. And so it's like a way of like monsterifying him in a way,
That's
which I think
awesome.
it's such a small little character design thing, but it's so smart. And then
Yeah.
like it carries over because Ocarina, well, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, depending on the timeline split, is the same Ganon. I know at least or Twilight Princess is.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Well, the game's only been out for what 16 years.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that at an Ocarina of Time point, and I was gonna be like, spoiler, oh my god.
Oh no. But he
Yeah.
also has the pointed ears there. And I think it's interesting to see too that like the Gerudo in Breath of the Wild all have the pointed ears. And
Yeah.
and
Huh.
Urbosa specifically mentions when you go to fight Calamity Ganon, if you save her, she like mentions that like she is ashamed of like being a Gerudo because of the scourge on the reputation of the race that Ganondorf is. And
Mhm.
it's like it's almost like the gods have like cursed the Gerudo to have this like mark of shame almost that
Mm.
like that the person who was supposed to be their king like took on this dark power and is now like the manifestation of evil in the world.
Mhm.
So I've always found like stuff like that really interesting.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, LMD?
No, that's totally
Okay.
it. No.
I mean, I think for me, obviously Midna. That's why I'm kind of
I
soft
know.
cosplaying her.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just in case you hadn't figured out, in case you
Yeah.
didn't see the number of her that I did as her
Also,
earlier.
yeah, spoiler alert, she's hot in the
Yeah.
end of
Yeah.
Twilight Princess. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Spoiler
Like,
alert, I only played 3 games.
yeah,
Interesting.
she is
But
gorgeous. And you're
yeah.
like, oh, okay, I gotta help her now. Hold on.
Yeah, like that Twilight Princess was the first Zelda game that I was really old enough to like really comprehend the weight of the story.
Mhm.
And I was like 10 or 11, but I just remember loving that essentially you were like playing through her journey and more so than Link's. Like Link was like, he was chosen by the gods to be the hero of that story. Fine. But you're dealing with Midna starting off as like this scorned, deformed in theory, or magically deformed ruler who's been like deposed,
Mhm.
and she's going to any length that she can to get her power back. And like I think if you look at Twilight Princess specifically as a commentary on power,
Mhm.
whether it's through Ganondorf, it's through Midna, it's through Zant, it's through Zelda herself, and like her, putting her sword down for the sake of saving her people, instead of getting them all slaughtered. I think it adds so many layers to a game that I hold personally really dear.
Mhm.
I think in terms of temples, obviously Forest Temple and Spirit Temple from Ocarina of Time are really up
Yes.
there for me. But I think my favorite temple out of all of them is the Sand Ship from Skyward Sword. I think it is.
Oh yeah.
I
That
don't
one's
like the boss.
great.
The boss is the
With the
love child.
tentacles.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is Mike and Celia's love child. Like from Monsters Inc.
Yes.
But the concept of a ship that is stranded in the desert that through these ancient time shift stones is now restored to
Yeah.
being a working pirate ship in the ocean. And how that all played out, I think is such a cool idea as a dungeon and how that's explored. So that's up there. So is the Ancient Cistern from that game. That's another favorite of
Oh
mine.
my gosh, I didn't even mention Twin Rova from
Oh,
Ocarina of
You're
yeah.
right. Yes.
She
Yeah.
is
Yes.
the definition of mother.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
Really.
real
My
fierce
mother.
diva.
Yeah.
I had to say that. Also, Sidon, he's hot. Everybody knows he's hot.
Oh, if I didn't have this, I would have cosplayed it as him.
Yeah. Twin Rova. Oh my God, that was so crazy. You were
I
like,
saw that for
what?
the first time this year. I was
Yeah.
young.
Yeah,
Yeah. You were like, excuse
they're
me.
fierce.
Yeah.
They're fierce.
Yeah.
I was there for that too.
She's great. And then she's also like the main villain of the Oracle games.
Yeah.
Like
What?
Ooh,
yeah,
fun.
so like the way you could play them separately, but like the way they were supposed to be played was that they're connected.
Mm-hmm.
So you would like transfer your save over to one game, and then when you
Wow.
finish the second one, it would unlock like the real ending. And the whole thing
Yeah.
is like Twin Rova trying to resurrect Ganon, and she like uses the bosses from those games to do that. Like
Oh, that's gaggy.
she's great, and her boss fight in
Wow.
that game is wild.
Yeah.
Um,
And that
it-
doesn't it imply like they imply that the Twin Rova that they're like Ganondorf's like moms, right? Like
yeah,
or
they're
that
like
it's
his
implied, yeah.
surrogate moms.
Yeah,
And,
which is really cool. Yeah.
like
Oh, like actual mother.
Yeah, like
oh
actual
yeah,
mother, yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
Um,
It's very cool.
but yeah, I mean, I guess we can also talk about, you know, I mean, I kind of touched on it with like my Midna rant, but do we have any other like favorite storylines, as well for certain characters? I know Kay also mentioned like Anju and Cafe
Hmm.
earlier. Kiyoshi.
I would like to go last, please.
Okay.
I mean, I
Yeah.
did. I mean, quickly before, because this isn't mine, but that story of the sand ship in like that area of
Mhm.
Skyward Sword is so sad. Like,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
go into like the tallest tower or something and you like read the lore of all the people that were there, it's sad. But that's not my
Yeah.
answer. But I just wanted to say it's sad there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, yeah, like your the couples mask and stuff. So in Majora's Mask, you're trying to help everyone, and Anju and Cafe, they were trying to get married, and suddenly Cafe started looking like a child, and he didn't look like how he used to look, and so you're kind of trying to help him get the couples mask, so then Andrew will be like, oh, that's you, we'll get married, whatever. And I thought their story was really great because they were kind of both like it's just all these different like pieces that fit together, and you're really just trying to help this like couple who's in love just try to like get married before the world ends, or hopefully it doesn't end, but if it does, they're like, whatever, we did it. But you have to do so many little pieces, and it's crazy. And I remember, oh my gosh, the thing that drove me nuts was like the guy who would sit there behind the tree and would like steal stuff, the thief, who had like the bag, and he was over at near like the stone temple, and he was just so creepy and would like watch you and stuff. It was just like I forget his name, but he has like a hideout, but like I could not stand him. He was so creepy and weird. I was like, you
Mhm.
better get out of here, dude. So yeah, that storyline was good. I don't know, there's so many in Majora's Mask that are like really fun and cool. I liked the part too, with like with the Zoras and getting like her eggs back. I thought that was
Mhm.
cool. And
Yeah.
all of like the masks that you get, like the Goron, the Zora mask, and all of that, those were all really sad because they were all like, people that passed away, and um, they were like big characters and like leaders um, in their villages and stuff. So I thought that was really cool that Link kind of like brought them back and like brought peace to them
Yeah.
through the masks and everything. So that was pretty cool. And yeah.
Except for the Deku. I don't think the Deku really had much
Yeah,
of a.
yeah, they'd imply like it might be like the butler guy who had like the
Oh,
big dramatic mustache. That guy was
Yeah.
drag. His like
Yeah.
huge mustache, yeah.
With
Yeah.
his like his little afro puffs that he
Yeah,
has.
he was
Cosplay idea.
hilarious. Yeah, it's like implied that might be his son because he talks about him like after
That's
you beat the
true.
Woodfall Temple, and so that's really sad because he's like, oh, like if he comes home, and I'm just like, oh, but
Yeah,
yeah,
well, then in the credits too, like at the very beginning of the game before you really get into Termina, there's like a Deku tree thing that's like all gnarled and like looks like it's in pain. And then
Right.
in the credits, the butler is like crying like on his hands and knees at that spot.
Yeah.
So it's implied that like the reason why you remind him of his son is because you are like wearing the mask of his son's soul.
Yeah.
Oh,
Zelda's wild.
yeah. Okay, Nam, how about you?
I'm like really trying to think of like the storyline and the depth of a character that I really
Yeah.
like. Honestly, I'm gonna be that girl. I hate reading, so sometimes Zelda games are a chore for me. I'll skip past a lot of the lore. I like watching my lore videos on YouTube that fill me in. Um, so I will say, I don't know. Next question.
I think I'm also in the same. Honestly, Nem, I'm so you're so brave. Thank you so much. It took
So
a
brave.
lot. I wouldn't be able to. For the most part, I'm kind of like the same. I think for the most like when we played, like especially with my siblings and not like my parents, where they figured it out, we definitely just went off like a paper like walkthrough guide, which was
Mhm.
still fun, but we just like kept pressing A. We weren't actually paying attention.
Right.
But I think like there was still like moments where we can kind of like get the idea of like the story by the visuals. Um, and I think the only thing I can think about right now is the giants in Majora's Mask, and
Yeah.
basically, and then the music for that as well is just freaking great and emotional, so emotional,
Mhm.
especially that moment at the when they come in. And that's I guess, but I think that's pretty much like, that's the main story. So if anything, I would say the main story of Majora's Mask might like have been my favorite for sure for that. Mainly because
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
just that whole climactic moment.
I
Well, that's
think
like why the Skull Kid is like all depressed too, right? Is because those were like his friends, the four giants, and then they went away, and so he's like, oh, where the fuck are my friends? And he
Yeah,
got
see,
all sad.
I think when we looked at the guide, we didn't read that part of
Yeah, we
it.
didn't read
We
that
just
part.
kept
Yeah.
pressing A.
Alrighty. LMD, how about you?
I gotta be honest, I'm with Nem on this. This is a tough question.
It is. Yeah.
We're
I'm starting
brave.
to. I don't know. There's a lot of rich characters. I think that like, because Zelda shines in like having a great design. They say like one line, and they're just like, "Well, this soup is too spicy," and you're like, "What does that friggin' mean?" And they have like the wildest design you've ever seen, and you never see them again. But I really like. There's a moment in Majora's Mask where like they know the moon's coming, and you go like, "Where?" I haven't played it in a long time, so I'm sorry, but like you're on the ranch, and then
I
there's
was just gonna
that
say
like
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
sister, and then like her little sister, and then
Mhm.
she's letting her like drink alcohol for the first time, like when the moon's coming. And they imply that she's gonna get her like drunk during like Armageddon. Like it's
Yes,
really messed
yeah.
up. And I
Yeah.
think
Ooh.
that's like, yeah, I like
Yeah.
that
That
part.
wrench is wild. It was cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember there was a side mission where I had to help some dude that was in the toilet and they needed toilet
Oh my
paper.
God. Yeah.
The hand.
Yeah,
Well,
the hand.
well, because they bring that back in a couple other games. I know like Skyward
Mhm.
Sword has the same
Marvelous.
thing, and so like you can either give it like actual paper and it will go away, or you can give it like a love note that one of your classmates like wrote to a character. And if you give the love note to her, then like every time at night, like if you go into that student's room, he'll be sleeping and she'll be
I
like
know.
stroking his head, being
I
like,
picked
"Oh,
that
the love of
one.
my life," and he's
Yeah.
like, "Leave me alone, I don't know what's happening."
Yeah.
I love that.
um yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, again, kind of in the same boat as you two. There's so many
There's just a
options
lot.
that are
Yeah.
great that it's really
Okay.
difficult. I think for me, obviously Midna, but I think in
Mhm.
like more recent stuff, I think Breath of the Wild Zelda
I was
is
gonna
one of
say that.
she's one of the
Yeah.
most interesting characters in that entire franchise, and I will forever maintain that you as Link are merely a vessel for her story to play out. Like,
Mhm.
because
Mhm. Mhm.
you have to find her memories and find all these memories that are attached to you going around with her. You find
Mhm.
her journal. You find all of this stuff that is about her mental state, about not awakening her power when she feels like she has to before the world ends, feeling like she's inadequate and a failure and like she's on limited time. And like I feel like there's so many things about that that I find relatable, but I also just love the fact that they've taken a character who was often a damsel in distress or like a
Mhm.
MacGuffin damsel in certain things, but they've made her this character who, she doesn't want to fill out her royal heritage. Like that's not her priority. She does it because she has to, but she's like really interested in science and history and engineering and like figuring out how the guardians work and the mechanics of that. So like she's like got a lot of agency in a lot of ways that other Zelda characters don't. And I think they were kind of doing that with Tetra in Wind Waker, making her like the pirate captain and everything. And
Mhm.
then when they're like, "Oh, surprise, she's really Zelda," it's like that's all she is after that. Like
Mhm.
she doesn't get to be the fun adventuring pirate anymore. Well, until Phantom Hourglass. But um, but yeah, for the most part, she's just relegated to being the princess and that you have to help save, everything.
Yeah.
Um,
Skyward Sword
okay.
did that too, I think, which was cool because you kind of saw
Yeah,
their relationship, and it was nice seeing how they were kind of like childhood friends and had like a really deep relationship too.
yes. Um, I know I really wanted to talk about Zelda hot takes, but we are kind of running low on time. So I do want to spend some time with talking about with Tears of the Kingdom coming out next year. Um,
Yes,
hopefully. Uh,
better.
yeah, what are all of our, our hopes or expectations? Do we have any things that we would really like to see return in that game coming
Can
out?
I say first, I would like, it's very unideal, but if Zelda isn't playable, I'm storming the kingdom and I'm gonna make tears fall. I'm saying. Because I need my girl to be playable after that of the first
Yes.
one. She needs to be
Absolutely.
Yes,
playable.
I
Because
agree. I absolutely agree.
I'm very excited and I do have very hot takes about this game, but I am interested to see, besides playable Zelda, how they're going to incorporate. From what we've seen they're reusing the map, but I'm interested to see how they're going to make it feel like a new experience while the same map and make it not feel like it's a DLC expansion.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I think for me, like I'm definitely excited for all of that, and I'm excited that Ganondorf is gonna be in the game again because
Mhm.
everyone thinks that like they're like, oh, Ganondorf's the main villain. He actually isn't in that many games, and so I'm excited to see him return, and I think that'll be really really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like even more darkness, more eeriness in particular. I want
Yeah.
to be like, I don't know. I definitely want the same feels as like Majora's Mask, where I felt like an this like eerie. It's like something is watching me while I'm playing as
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
whoever the hell I'm playing as at the time. And I actually would like music again, like to play something,
Yes.
if not just like obviously not the main feature, but like just a little bit of tidbits there, here and there, where I need to do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, LMD, how about you?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'd love to see like I really hope they make a real crafting system or some kind of like blacksmithing thing so I can get rid of the durability and I can keep my sword for longer than like 10 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
I suppressed that from my memory. I forgot
Oh
that.
yeah. Yeah. Same.
That is the worst. So I hope that they do something like that where you can craft your own weapons and keep them for longer and like more customization of like your own little outfits, right? Fashion's important, small stuff like that. I'm really hoping to see them expand on small stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, like Nem was saying, I'm curious to see how they're going to use the same map, but make it feel different.
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest problem I had with Breath of the Wild was, which I understand, it's, 100 years after the world's basically ended and everything's gone to shit. But um the world was so empty. And like the fact that like the soundtrack of that game is gorgeous,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
it's not used that much. And so it's like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want I want the world to feel more lived in because that's what I love about Zelda so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I feel like Age of Calamity, like the Hyrule Warriors, like prequel side story spin-off thing that they did for Breath of the Wild was more interesting for that reason that it was more lived in because it was before everything set up. Part of me desperately wishes that Tears of the Kingdom is. I know it's going to be just a straight sequel for Breath of the Wild, but I wish it kind of followed Tears of the or Age of Calamity because the champions all live. And so then it's like
Yeah.
how like that side of history gets involved and like how like the siblings and like the new champions or whatever, like they come back from the future because they're like, we're from the timeline where you failed. And so like we're coming to help you. Like I thought that was such a cool idea. And I would have loved to see how things would change if those characters didn't have that problem, you know? Um, but also I really, really, really want to see how the luminous stone color, like that kind of eerie teal that we see all
Oh
over in those
yeah.
trailers, because it's the same exact color. And I think somebody did like a hex code for it. It's the same color as like the Twilight, like the magic of them.
Yeah.
And it's hinted through the lore, or it's explicitly stated, not hinted, in the lore of like the luminous stones, is that they're closely tied to death. And
Mhm.
so like that's why it's like coming out of um Ganondorf's, you know, dehydrated corpse when you find him in that trailer. So I'm really curious to see, like, are they going to make it have some parallels to
Oh
Twilight
my
Princess in
goodness.
any way?
Bring Midna back.
Like even if it's like her new, like the successor, you know, because of
Yeah.
how far it is afterwards, everything, like I love to see that come into play. And so
Mhm.
I'm just really curious to see what that or what that all entails. I really want dungeons. I really want like traditional Zelda dungeons where it's like
Totally.
Yeah.
where it's not.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
the shrines were cute. um I liked the divine beasts. They were a cool concept, but it didn't scratch the same itch for me of like a
Right.
very
Yeah.
Right.
well-defined area
I
with its
agree.
own theme, even though the divine beast themes are so cool.
Yeah.
Um, like
I think they're like two separate entities. Like there's like
yeah,
Zelda
Yeah.
Dungeons and Divine Beasts, and they're both like uniquely very good.
yeah. So
Mhm.
I'm curious to see what they do with that. I'm curious to see how the verticality is going to play into stuff, because there's so many things from these newer trailers of like Link in the sky, like falling,
Yeah.
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 like I want to see how this arm thing works. Like there's so many
Hmm.
questions. So
Yeah.
I have a feeling that if we don't get stuff about it, like if it ends up being delayed again, it's going to be a big E3 thing. But it better not be. I want it in, isn't it supposed to come out in like May?
Yeah, it's
April,
Yeah.
May.
May.
Scheduled for May.
It better.
Better on
Yeah.
Meltdown. Yeah.
Nintendo, if you're watching.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
I
if you're
want.
watching, how dare you not
Yeah.
port
Yeah.
Twilight Princess and Wind Waker this
Also,
year? I
while
know
you're
you have it
here,
ready.
Yeah.
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 And again, make Zelda playable. We want to play as Zelda.
Release it, damn it. Yeah.
Yes, it's
Yes.
her
Zelda
legend, for
playable.
goodness
Yeah.
sake.
I want
Alrighty.
more Zoras also. More hot
Yes.
Zoras, please. Thank you.
Also,
Just
Nintendo,
walking
if you're
around.
watching, put Ganondorf in a Speedo for me. Do it for
Yeah,
me.
I think yeah, at the beach, you know,
Yes.
occasionally he needs to take a break every once in a while.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So it is that time. We do only have a few minutes left. So rapid fire, closing outros. Tell us where we can find everybody, what content we can expect, and yeah, Kiyoshi.
Pansexual. We'll go. Oops. Yeah. Kiyoshi or Pansexual Giant Fester. I like skipped over my name. And you can find me at twitch.tv/Kiyoshi Yorha. You can find me on all other socials. At Kiyoshi Yorha. I also have. I really want to push my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com @Kiyoshi Yorha Reviews. And yeah, what you could expect on my channel is I'm getting into like survival based games at the moment, so you're probably gonna see a lot of that at the moment. And then I kind of want to go back into puzzles at some point. And then 2 to 3 times a week is when I stream. Turn on
Love
notifications.
that. All right, Kay.
So you can find me at twitch.tv/KLuckyDog. My biggest goal is to hit 1,000 followers on Twitch, so then I can be an Epic Games partner and have a creator code with Fortnite. So yeah, everyone follow. I'm cool. I swear. I won't. I don't go live that often, so you won't even be bothered with it. So, no, but you'll find me playing probably Zelda or Fortnite or maybe Kingdom Hearts. Those are probably like my 3 games that I play. And yeah, thank you so much for having me today. It was an honor, and yeah,
Of
love y'all.
course. When I was trying to figure out who to ask, I was like, I have to ask Kay. Like, I have
Thank
to ask my
you.
Zelda bestie.
Yes, thank you.
Right now.
Hi, I'm Nemesis Network. I stream like every day, and I've been in drag for the last like 8 days, and I'm very tired, and I have to pee so bad. But you can follow me on Nemesis Network, and I am Nemesis Network on Twitch. Everywhere else is Nemesis Lacroix. Yeah, I guess I'm playing a lot of Bayonetta recently. Everybody's been like begging and pleading for me to play Bayonetta. Everyone loves watching me play Bayonetta. Kara was even there the other day. We were watching the Slay of the Century in Bayonetta 3 in Chapter
Yes.
12. It is one of the
Yes.
best things ever. But yeah, I have to pee, so I'm gonna shut up.
Okay. LMD.
Hi everyone, I'm Lady Mega Danger. I do bad games, I do retro games, I do RPGs, I do all sorts of stuff. I stream every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We watch movies, public domain films on my show, a lot of cult stuff, a lot of weird stuff. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I love Zelda. I love nostalgia. Mwah!
Yes.
All right. And then I'm Caricature. You can find me over at twitch.tv/caricature. I play mostly Pokemon, but I am probably in January going to start playing Zelda every Wednesday so we can get
Woo.
through some games that I've never played before and games I've never finished and to prepare for Tears of the Kingdom. So stay tuned for all of that. More art streams coming too. I think that's everything I need to go over. Yes. So stay tuned for Animal Crossing Drag Race coming up next, and then the Stream Queens Drag Show, which you can also see me in because
Woo.
you didn't get enough of me today. So thank you again for watching. Enjoy the rest of Stream Queens Con. I know we all appreciate it. And until next time, toodaloo.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
y'all. Bye.